Hello everybody, my name is Raxef and welcome to This Week in Warcraft for the week of November 28th. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday weekend and I can't wait to get started, so let's jump into the video. We've got a lot of things to cover this week, so let's jump right in with it with the Mythic Plus affixes for this week. The affixes for this week are Bursting, Quaking, and Fortified. Bursting causes all non-boss enemies to explode upon defeat, dealing a large amount of damage to you. What this means is that you do not want to AoE dungeon mobs down, and instead you want to single target them, preferably have your tank select which mob to focus down first, and then once you've defeated that mob, move on to the next so that A, you don't all just take a stacking damage buff and die really quickly, and B, it gives your healer plenty of breathing room in order to keep you guys healthy in the dungeon. Quaking will force you to watch your positioning in these dungeons, as periodically circles will spawn around you, and when they erupt, they will deal 20% of a player's max health as damage, as well as interrupt any spell casting. So you're going to want to spread out, particularly if you are a high melee group. It's going to be really important for you to spread out when you're dealing with mobs so that you all don't just chunk out 40 or 60% of your max health on top of bursting. That can get really, really nasty. Particularly, you're going to want to be mindful of your spellcasters and your healers, since you don't want to interrupt them, lowering the DPS of your group as a whole. And of course, Fortified will increase the health of all non-boss enemies and increase the damage that they deal by 30%. So overall, this week isn't really, really terrible. However, it will be very challenging in the mob portions of the dungeon, any non-boss areas, because so many of these damaging features have to do with facing mobs. You're going to be getting quaking a lot when you're fighting mobs. Then when you destroy the mobs, you're going to want to watch out for bursting, so you're going to be taking additional damage on top of that. And then, of course, while you're fighting these groups of mobs, they deal 30% additional damage. So be mindful of your healers. You're going to want to make sure you position correctly. If there's anything that you can interrupt or stun, that is always very good. And be very mindful to only single target the mobs down and try to mark down which mob you're going to single target so that you don't destroy 2 or 3 at the same time and take a ton of damage while a quaking erupts. It's not going to be any fun for your healer. If you keep those things in mind, you should have a fairly solid week. Next up, the Pet Battle bonus event will be happening this week, and that means you get a buff which increases the experience gained by your pets by 200%. You will also have the opportunity to earn an Ultimate Battle Training Stone, which automatically levels one of your pets up to level 25. This is great if you're regularly into pet battles because it lets you, of course, increase the level of a pet that you've been really wanting to level up and haven't taken the time to do. And it's also great for those who aren't quite into pet battles. Let's say you're farming rare pets and you want to sell them on the auction house. It's a great idea to get one of these Ultimate Battle Training Stones so that you can level up that pet, cage it up, and then sell it for an even greater profit on the auction house. The PvP Brawl Arathi Blizzard is also happening this week, and during this brawl, when you enter the Arathi Basin, you'll play through it exactly as you normally would, except your vision is greatly obscured as well as your view distance, so you're not really going to be able to see enemies far off, let alone the capture points. I've played this brawl before, and it's pretty fun. I definitely recommend anyone give it a chance. It can be a little bit annoying with the sort of fog of war effect and you not really being able to see people. It makes you kind of roam around the map a lot more and not really know exactly what's going on unless you have decent communication within your team. But even so, I'd recommend you guys give it a shot this week. If you like it, then of course you can keep on playing it. If not, then you can just pass this one by. This weekend marks the start of the Darkmoon Faire for the month of December, so if you're in the middle of leveling an alt or you want to get some increased reputation, of course be sure to pick up that reputation and experience increase buff. Also, you will have the chance to win the Darkmoon Dirigible, so be sure to collect as many ticks as possible so you can get that special mount. Of course, I will be linking a guide to the Darkmoon Faire as a whole in the description down below. Sadly, the 13th World of Warcraft anniversary will be ending this week, so if you're in the middle of farming up those time warp tokens, be sure to keep on turning in those daily quests in order to get those as much as possible. Also, if you're wanting to get a specific transmog, these will be the last couple days in order to get that transmog item from one of the 3 world bosses that are up. Unfortunately, I've not had that great of luck this run. I wasn't able to get either of the 2 swords that I wanted, so I'm probably just gonna have to wait until next year. We do have a couple days left, and I do have some bonus tokens left, though. I'm probably gonna be saving those for Antorus. I may change my mind, so ultimately we'll see. But either way, I wish you guys the best of luck if you are in the middle of trying to get the coveted Typhoon Sword like I am, or any other piece of transmog gear to add to your collection. I will also be adding a link to a 13th World of Warcraft anniversary guide in the description down below. And last but certainly not least, Antorus the Burning Throne raid will be opening this week for normal and heroic. I am very, very excited for this raid to come out, mostly because I'm pretty tired of Tomb of Sargeras, but also because I think many of the fights that are coming up in Antorus are pretty interesting. We're ultimately going to have to see, however, what they are like. If you're interested in learning more about Antorus, I'm going to be linking a guide in the description down below. If you're interested in really learning more about the boss fight specifically, though, there's an awesome channel out there called FatBoss. You probably already have heard of them. I will be linking to their channel, as well as generally I find that they have some of the most well put together guides in terms of bosses. Right now, their coverage is strictly on for the bosses on a PTR sense. They're of course going to be publishing guides for normal and heroic as the fights are released and as they play those fights. Personally, I will be streaming my guild's run of Antorus starting Tuesday. If you want to follow my Twitch channel, I will link that in the description down below as well. If you guys just want to come in, chill, say hi, talk about the fights, I'd love to see you and meet all of you, so I hope to see you there. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, then of course give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say, if you're really, really excited to start Antorus and just can't wait to get in there and hopefully get the trinkets that everyone's kind of been frothing at the mouth over, or perhaps if you're not really into raiding and you want to take the week to relax, finish up the World of Warcraft anniversary, start farming the Darkmoon Faire, let me know in the description down below. I'm always interested to see what exactly players kind of have their sights on when a raid is first released, because I find a lot of people are either really, really excited to jump into the raid and start going at it right away, or on the other hand, if they're still kind of into raiding, they just kind of take a seat back and let the other guilds raid, and they wait for some guides to come out, and then they'll jump into raiding, perhaps once LFR comes out. Let me know in the description down below. I'd like to know kind of what kinds of players my community is made up with. And if you like my videos and you want to stay up to date with the content that I release on this channel, then of course feel free to subscribe. With that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. See you later!